Welcome to another segment of Live from Forum 2022, powered by the National Association of Workforce Boards. I'm your host, Ron Painter, and I'm getting the occasion to sit down with Doug Cotter, who is the CEO of Grant Associates. Doug, welcome, and thanks for taking time to join me.
Well, thank you, Ron, and as usual, thank you for hosting this event, and thank you for all that you do for our industry. It's been an incredible 2 years, and the support that you've given us is greatly appreciated. So I'm happy to talk with you.
I will do it back at you. Thanks to Grant Associates for your support to us so we can do things like this. We want to talk about it's the 25th anniversary
Yes.
for Grant Associates, and I was going to do a pop quiz with you, like top movie of 1997. Any idea?
None.
None. Men in Black.
Oh, really? Wow.
Men in Black. And as we are today, we were watching Seinfeld in 25 years ago. So kind of cool. But talk about Grant Associates, Doug. 25 years. How did the whole thing get started? Where did it get started, and where are you now?
It's an incredible story, really. It started by 3 women. Our founder, namesake Gail Grant, was finishing up her first career, and she was working with teenage mothers. And the economy at that time was booming, and the industry was having a difficult time accessing the human capital. So she thought of starting a social enterprise, saying that she knew that although the economy was booming, that there were certain segments of our society who were being marginalized from these opportunities. And so we started contracting with Fortune 500 companies, saying, like, we know that you're struggling identifying talent. Let me introduce you to a vast pipeline of talent through the public workforce system, at that time Welfare to Work. And we began connecting industry with workforce systems across the nation. And from there, we started with 3 women in the back office of a dental office, actually. 25,
that I didn't know.
25 years ago. And from there, we went on to start operating government workforce programs. And now we're in 5 different states, over 400 staff. And in the course of our 25 years, we're looking at it, we've served over 1.25 million people, helped over 50,000 businesses. So the impact that one idea of one woman 25 years ago looking to make some kind of social impact to where we are now is just really an incredible story.
I had the pleasure of meeting the company's namesake, and you're right. What a remarkable lady.
Yeah.
A remarkable story about it was her passion. It was her, like, we got to do this.
That's right. Yeah.
So what are some of the changes that you have seen? How long have you been with Grant Associates?
16 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started with them as a business services manager, and then running one of their first sectoral initiatives many years ago. And I became president and CEO 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there is a career path.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of our talent, our leadership, are homegrown. I was struck by your guest from Walmart yesterday saying 75% of their leadership has grown within the ranks. We're probably at the 95% of our leadership has grown with us. So it's a model that works for us. To do this work, you have to know this work, and we like to grow our talent when we're in. We also, as you've seen over the years, bring in outside talent to make sure that we have a different perspective, and we're open to that. But the model of growing our talent internally works for us.
Are there big changes that you've seen in 16 years about how the business is done?
Sadly, the face of poverty hasn't changed as much, and some of the challenges that our populations are facing are still there. There's the digital divide that we see has gotten greater. But through the pandemic, I think we might have touched on this last year when we spoke, but of all the challenges that the pandemic brought us, it also built bridges. There was populations that had to get on 2 buses and walk 10 blocks or 5 subways. Now to be able to kind of turn on a computer and access the services that our system provides really presents an opportunity and a bridge that I don't think we should or we will tear down in the future.
So it's a bridge, maybe a temporary bridge was built. We need to do better in building a better bridge or a more solid bridge?
Yes.
When you mentioned the technology divide is wider than you've experienced in the past. Tell me more about what you mean, like the divide. Is it just about my access to the internet, or is it about my skill in using the internet?
I think now, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I probably would have said the ability to provide it, to access it. But now it's more the access. Having that broadband. There's certain communities that still don't have access to the bandwidth of the broadband that others do. So, but I think that as the younger population are so fluid in this language, right? And
right.
We gave a presentation yesterday with our partners in Borderplex and in Austin about leveraging social media to connect with youth, but all populations. And we had the heads of their departments give their presentation, their piece of it. We had one of our younger team members from Grant Associates who works with our Industry Scholars Program, which we work with the Department of Education in New York City, increasing the quality and quantity of work-based learning opportunities, give a presentation. Her presentation was fantastic, and she's just, she's not a technology person, but her ability to navigate that, the technology is far exceeds mine. So I say that because, access seems to be the greatest challenge. Kind of be able to navigate it when you start to deal with the younger populations, it's easier. Some of the older populations that are still have a struggle with being able to navigate.
So as we have a younger workforce coming on with better acumen around technology, does that make the essential skills even more critical? Are we still teaching those?
Yes, the essential skills will always be important, right? In whatever, you talk to employers, and you've talked to many employers over your history. You said, if you give me somebody the essential skills, then I'll give them the hard skills. We hear that. However, I feel right now at this time, the opportunities that are presented to our youth and to the populations that we serve, I feel like there's a small window of opportunity here. It's a supply and demand issue. We know that employers are struggling to identify that human capital that's out there. And we know that the pandemic, the workforce isn't coming back at the rate we thought it was. And there's a variety of reasons for that you're well aware of. There's an aging out. People are retiring earlier, saying, I'm check please. There's still the child care issue that affects the populations that we work with, and there's also the fear of the virus. And because of this shortage, employers, opportunity is the mother of invention, but also opportunity is the mother of collaboration as well. Employers are willing to come to the table now, right? And, employers in the business community are putting skin in the game now, and they're saying, we'll help you, we'll help design, we'll tell you what we need. And there's an opportunity for folks to go from blue collar to new collar very quickly with some short-term training and really change their socioeconomic status at a speed that we have never seen. I have never seen in my professional career. It's one of those things where you want to roll up the windows and scream out and use the technology and the social medias and tell folks that aren't engaging with the workforce system, now is the time. This opportunity is not going to last forever. Please help us help you take advantage of it.
What does the system need to do to take advantage of these opportunities?
I think we have to spend more of our resources on marketing and thinking about the value proposition and being authentic and telling people what's really happening, right? And we meeting people where they're at in whatever way it is, whether it's through social media, whether it's getting to school grounds and talking to kids there. We have to get the message to them now, because as I said, this window of opportunity will not last for long. And in my professional career, I've never seen a time like this.
Tools that you and I did not have when we got into this business.
That's right.
Who knew there was such a thing as Twitter or Facebook or Reddit or cell phones?
I can remember I was trying to fill in one of those sectoral contracts that I operated many years ago. We had a diesel mechanic training, and we had a certain cohort, a number we needed to fill. We were out in a mall handing out flyers.
Flyers.
And I said to myself, when everybody ignored me, I said, I'll never refuse a flyer again for the rest of my life. Yeah, but you don't see people handing out flyers too much anymore.
It does change you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So, Doug, you've talked about some of the challenges that you see. As you travel, are you getting a sense of optimism from the people you're working with, from staff, from the people you're connecting with, that we're going to do this?
I am, but I think we have to be proactive about that as well, right? So I think we're all emerging from this great pandemic, and we did the best we could during that time, but I feel like now the best we could isn't quite enough, right? So I think we have to look internally at ourselves as workforce development professionals, as workforce systems, saying how can we do better? We're really calling it refresh, reset, rebuild our future together. So it's thinking about, the great reassessment. I've been thinking about it in terms of, do I want to be a barber or do I want to be a mechanic? But it's just because of the vocation that I have, right? But it's greater than that. People are really considering, what do I want to do with my life? And do I want that pre-pandemic life? And what life do I really want, right? So helping us tap into that as workforce development professionals and saying, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And believing that if people can bring the best version of themselves as workforce development professionals to work every day and truly thrive, you'll be a better career advisor, you'll be a better account manager, a job developer. And we have to be able to understand the world has changed and our systems has to change and we have to change with it.
I was just gonna say, I think it's also, do you also think it's a time we've got to examine ourselves as an industry? Where are we? What have we been doing? What can we as an industry do better?
There's no doubt about it. We have to look at our organizational structures. Does it make sense? You heard me talk about marketing. Do I really need 50 career advisors? Maybe I need to, how are we going to get the people in the door? How are we going to engage them? We need people to really be thinking about what are the value propositions? What is important to the populations we serve? So thinking about that staffing structure, that organizational structure, and then the processes of how you've done things. We've been really great as a system being responsive to this world that was thrust upon us very quickly. Right? Now we have to step back and say, how do we incorporate this in all we do? How do we now take this to the next level and capitalize on the opportunity that this economy gives us?
That's interesting. Mayor Goldsmith was with us earlier in a segment talking about, he has a new book out called Building Fairly. One of the points that he made was the value proposition.
Yeah.
Like, we think about a lot about with companies we're dealing with, they've got to think about the offer now as we look at 4 or 5 generations in the labor force. We have to think about the offer to somebody. Why are they going to take this new training? Why are they going to get better skills? What's the offer?
Yeah. We have to be very intentional about the value proposition. What is the messaging? And what's of value to our customers? And how do we convey that in not workforce speak, but in from one human to another? Hey, as I said, hey, this opportunity isn't going to be here forever. And here's how it could benefit you if you take advantage of it and partner with us in helping you become self-empowered with the skills, information you need to get access to a different future than you might have imagined for yourself.
Oh, wow. Doug, I wish we could bottle that passion and we could ship it to every workforce professional across the country.
I feel it here. I feel it here. So I think I'm feeding off the energy that this conference has presented, and I think we all feel it, and now feeling's one thing, right? Now we got to make it happen.
Now we got to make it
and
happen.
Step into the future together.
Doug,
Ron, thank you
thanks.
for all you do. I really appreciate it. We appreciate Knob and your whole team. They've been fantastic.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us.
Excellent.
And you've been joining us for another segment of Live from Forum 2022, powered by the National Association of Workforce Boards. I've been your host, Ron Painter. My guest is Doug Cotter, the CEO for Grant Associates. And I hope you will join us for another segment of Live from the Forum 2022. Thank you.